What do you need to know before riding a train in Europe? So, today I'm going to give you a few tips about riding trains in Europe. The first tip I have is go electronic. I've ridden rails in 10 different countries in Europe, and every single time, electronic tickets, the QR codes that you will get when you purchase tickets, are a lifesaver. It used to be that you had to have printed out tickets, tickets that were on a piece of paper. But now, because of technology, which is a great thing in many ways, the electronic ticket is the way to go. When you purchase your tickets, make sure you download that QR code and then take a screenshot, because when the conductor comes by, you can just pull it up on your photos and then show the conductor, whoever they are, he or she, and voila, it's done. It's easy. All right. Number 2, there are going to be a lot of people on these trains. There always are. Train travel in Europe is so much better than it is in the United States. So when you go there and you get the opportunity to meet somebody from another country, you might be in Spain and you might be talking to somebody that you have never met before, and they might be from Singapore. Like this last trip for me, I met a guy named Bernard. He was great. I met Bernard on the train from Brussels, Belgium to Amsterdam. He got off a little bit earlier, but it was a great time to meet somebody from a different place. He's from Singapore, so neither one of us were from that area. He likes to ride a bike around it, and he arranges tours with friends from Singapore to do this. I learned so much about Bernard, and we just hit it off. And if you neglect talking to somebody that might be able to bring you another perspective, you may have neglected to learn something that you wouldn't know. So my recommendation, talk to people on the train. Of course, it was simpler because I was by myself and he was by himself. But still, if you get the opportunity, it's a good thing to do. Meet somebody. I've met several people from other countries just because I reached out. I helped him, or wanted to help him with his bag because it was huge. But partially it was his bicycle, which was cool. A fold-up bicycle that he takes all over Europe. What a cool guy. All right, number 3. Show up to the train station early. A lot of times it's recommended show up 15 minutes early. I'm going to tell you, show up an hour early, especially if you've never been to that train station before, because things could have happened in that time. The train could have been delayed or canceled. It might be at a different gate, different track number, whatever. So you need to know these things ahead of time. And many railway stations are a little confusing. They might have trains departing from 3 or 4 different spots in the train station, and it could change, just like you've seen your flights change from different gates in the airport. It can happen in the train station. All right, number 4, don't hesitate to take a taxi, because you may not know if you're going to the correct train station. Take Paris, for instance. Paris has 6 train stations. Where I stayed in Paris in September of 2022, I was at a hotel, and it was actually next to 2 train stations. One was Gare du Nord, and the other one was Gare d'Est. Now, I probably butchered that in French, but anyways, if I hadn't done my homework, or if I didn't know how to do my homework, if I was a relative newbie, I might not be able to figure that out, that there's different train stations. Some of the train stations have very similar names. But if you show your taxi driver, he or she will know where it is to take you. They're familiar with their city. So they're going to know, the difference between these names, even if they have the same name. Also, taking a taxi gets you to the train station on time. Make sure you've also planned that you need to be there early. Now, the nice thing about Paris train stations, the one I went through, Gare du Nord, it was simple. Everything was easy. There were restaurants in there, and many of them are easy. But, say, Madrid, which I went through this summer, there were at least 3 different sections to the train station that you could go through to get to different places. And some of them were for the high-speed rails, and some of them were for regionals. But you may not know that, so you need to have the extra time. Make sure you get a taxi. It will not hurt you except for your pocketbook a little bit. But if you're in Europe, you need to plan for some extra money in case there's some kind of emergency. Also, one of the things I really love, and this is a side little note about riding the rails in Europe, it gets you to the center of town, and it gets you closer to the action that you want to be at. Different than airports. Airports are often outside of town. You might have to take a train to get to the airport. So if it's say it's a 5-hour window, your train trip is 5 hours, your plane ride is 2. Remember, you're going to spend at least a couple hours in the airport, and then you're going to spend time transporting yourself into town, from that airport. So essentially, if your train trip is within a 5 to 6 hour ratio and your plane ride is 1 to 2 hours long, it's close to a wash for how much time you're going to spend in each. And when you're on the train, although you get to see a lot of industrial stuff, you also get to see the countryside, which is not often, never the case when you're on a plane. So in Europe, where possible, take a train. All right. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. We've been around for a couple years and we're still building our audience. We'd like to build it more. And my name is Kelly Houck. I am the owner of Nerdgasmic Adventures, and we would like you to stay traveled with us. Check out our website at nerdgasmicadventures.com.